But then he said when the Mueller report came out and Robert Mueller said he found no evidence of collusion, he said Russiagate faded from our programming. Is that accurate?
Again, I was not there at the time. I couldn't say.
You couldn't say?
I was not at NPR at the time.
You didn't prepare for that? You knew we were going to ask you about this guy, didn't you? It's come up like 6,000 times already in the hearing.
I just couldn't say whether it faded from our...
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to America Wake. I'm Wilson. You just watched a heated exchange between Representative Jim Jordan and NPR CEO Katherine Maher. After watching that clip, one thing stood out to me right away. Jim Jordan came with specific questions, and many of those questions never seemed to get a direct answer. This wasn't about a small disagreement over politics. Jordan was challenging NPR on some of the biggest stories of the last several years and asking whether bias played a role in how those stories were covered. Whether you agree with him or not, those are fair questions to ask, especially when they involve an organization that receives taxpayer support. We're going to break down what happened, what I think Jordan got right, and why this exchange is getting so much attention. Before we jump in, make sure you like this video, subscribe to America Wake, and turn on notifications so you never miss our latest coverage. Let's get into it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Maher, who is Uri Berliner?
Mr. Berliner is a former senior editor.
That's all?
A former senior business editor for NPR.
How long do you work at NPR?
I believe he was there just over 25 years.
25 years? Award-winning journalist? Did he win any awards?
Our time did not
Peabody
overlap.
Award? That's pretty important, isn't it?
That is, absolutely.
So pretty distinguished journalist, right?
Certainly.
And he wrote a long story about what you do at NPR. Is NPR biased?
Congressman, I have never seen any instance of...
Never?
Of political bias determining editorial decisions, no.
Well, Mr. Berliner, in his story last year, wrote, in the D.C. area, editorial positions at NPR, he said he found 87 registered Democrats, 0 Republicans. Is that accurate?
We do not track the numbers or the voter registration, but I find that concerning.
Award-winning journalist who worked 25 years at NPR, Mr. Berliner, was he lying when he wrote that?
I am not presuming such. I just we don't track that information about our journalists.
87 to 0, and you're not biased?
I think that is concerning if those numbers are accurate.
It's concerning. I mean, it wasn't 44-43. It wasn't 60-27. It wasn't 70-17. It wasn't even 80-7. It was 87 Democrats, 0 Republicans, and you say NPR is not biased. How about the big stories over the last few years? According to Mr. Berliner, again, he wrote on the Trump-Russia story, he wrote, at NPR, we hitched our wagon to Trump's most visible antagonist, Representative Adam Schiff. He said they interviewed him 25 times. Is that accurate?
I was not there at the time, but those numbers sound accurate. Yes.
Those sound accurate. But then he said when the Mueller report came out and Robert Mueller said he found no evidence of collusion, he said, Russiagate faded from our programming. Is that accurate?
Again, I was not there at the time. I couldn't say.
You couldn't say?
I was not at NPR at the time.
You didn't prepare for that? You knew we were going to ask you about this guy, didn't you? It's come up like 6,000 times already in the hearing.
I just couldn't say whether it faded from our coverage, sir.
How about this story? October 2020, the New York Post had the Hunter Biden laptop story, and one of those editors, I guess one of those 87 Democrat editors, said this: we don't want to waste our time on stories that are not really stories. We don't want to waste the listeners' and readers' times on stories that are just pure distractions. Was that a pure distraction story?
Our current editorial leadership believes that that was a mistake, as do I.
Yeah, the whole country knows that was a mistake. Definitely impacted the election, or I think it certainly impacted the election. How about the COVID origin story? That's a pretty big story too, right? Mr. Berliner said, we became fervent members of the team Natural Origin, even declaring that the lab leak was debunked by scientists. Turns out, though, the lab leak is what most people think actually caused the COVID virus.
Sorry, is there a question there?
There is. You guys were 0 for 3 on the three of the biggest stories in the last 5 years. You guys were 0 for 3, and yet you maintain that NPR is not biased?
Congressman, I do not believe we are politically biased. No, we are a nonpartisan organization.
Nonpartisan organization. What's happening to your listeners over the last 5 years? Went up, down, or stayed the same?
It has gone up and down and is now going back up.
Well, I thought 5 years ago it was at 60 million. And you said in your opening statement, I think 43 million.
That's correct.
So 43 million now, and it was at 60 million 5 years ago. I can do some math. That looks like it went down.
And is now going back up.
It's
I'm
now
delighted
going
to
back
report.
up?
Yes, it is.
How much has it went back up?
It's
From
gone
what?
up a couple of millions over the past
Oh,
years.
so you went from 60 million to 41 million. Now you're back up to 43 million.
In a year's time, I'm very proud of that growth, sir.
Okay, you're proud of that growth. Okay. But over 5 years, it's went down 18 million.
That is correct, sir.
Okay. Should taxpayers subsidize NPR?
I believe that taxpayers subsidize local stations, sir. That is the vast majority of where
I thought
federal
you said
funding
you got
goes.
11 million from Corporation of Public Broadcasting, which is taxpayer funded directly to you, right?
That is to support the public
And then
radio
local
satellite
stations get it
system.
from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, right? They get taxpayer
100
money.
million that goes to the local
100 million goes to
stations,
local stations, and then those local stations buy back programming and content from you. So that money goes to the local stations, comes back to you, gets routed through the local stations, all taxpayer money.
Yes. Those fees are actually based on private donations rather than on federal funding.
Well, we all know money's fungible, so some of it gets put in there.
Certainly, we could agree that money is fungible.
What? More money for less listeners. You fired the guy who pointed all this out, who said that you were so biased to the left that you lost listeners, which is exactly happening, and you're here maintaining that, oh, you need to continue to get taxpayer money.
I did not fire Mr. Berliner, sir.
Okay, the guy that left after all that. Understand. Are you fundraising off today's hearing?
Sir, I believe that there was a message that went out earlier today letting people know we were coming in. Yes.
Yeah, and at the bottom of the message it said, donate now, right?
I don't recall the exact
I can
language.
show it to you. Right there it is. Donate now. I mean, I'm not against fundraising. We all do it. I mean, I get it. But it's, I assume this fundraising thing is probably going to all the left listeners who are subsidized content by the taxpayers, and that's the
gentleman's
rub.
time has
That's
expired.
the rub. I yield back.
I now recognize Ms. Randall from Washington for 5 minutes.
Thank you so much. You know,
After watching the full hearing, I think Jim Jordan made a strong case for why many Americans have lost trust in parts of the media. The moment that really set the tone was when Jordan brought up claims from former NPR editor Yuri Berliner. This wasn't criticism coming from an outsider. This was someone who spent more than 2 decades inside NPR and publicly raised concerns about the organization's culture and editorial decisions. Jordan focused on the claim that NPR's Washington editorial staff reportedly included dozens of registered Democrats and no registered Republicans. Whether those exact numbers are correct or not, the bigger question is worth asking. Can a newsroom remain truly balanced if nearly everyone sees the world through the same political lens? I think that's a legitimate concern. Jordan then walked through several major stories that have become flashpoints in the debate over media credibility. First was the Trump-Russia investigation. Then came the Hunter Biden laptop story, which NPR's current leadership now admits was handled incorrectly. Jordan made the point that when major stories are dismissed too quickly and later turn out to have more substance than originally believed, people naturally start questioning the judgment behind those decisions. The COVID lab leak debate was another example. For years, many outlets treated that theory as something that could be dismissed outright. Today, it is widely discussed as a possibility that deserved serious investigation from the beginning. What I thought was effective about Jordan's questioning was that he wasn't talking about one isolated mistake. He was pointing to a pattern. His argument was simple. If the same newsroom keeps ending up on the wrong side of major stories, people are going to wonder whether bias is influencing coverage. The discussion about NPR's audience was also interesting. Jordan pointed out that NPR's audience has fallen significantly over the past several years. Katherine Maher highlighted recent growth, which is fair, but Jordan's point was that the overall trend shows millions of listeners have walked away. That matters because trust is everything in journalism. When audiences lose confidence, they leave. It's that simple. Then there was the debate over taxpayer funding. Jordan argued that if taxpayers are helping support an organization, then the public has every right to demand accountability and ask tough questions about fairness and balance. Personally, I think that's a reasonable position. At the end of the day, what stood out to me most was that Jordan stayed focused on accountability. He wasn't asking people to blindly accept his opinion. He was asking why certain decisions were made and why so many Americans feel the media got some of the biggest stories of the last decade wrong. Whether you agree with Jordan or not, those are questions worth answering. Let me know what you think in the comments. Did Jim Jordan expose a real problem, or do you think NPR gave convincing answers? I'm Wilson, this is America Wake, and I'll see you in the next one.